Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Opkey's webinar breaking down Coupa's R39 release, one of three annual updates that is occurring in May 2024. We here at Opkey are so excited to really continue to cultivate our Coupa community. As many of you know, we are an official Coupa certified partner for test automation, the only one to date. We were recently very excited also to be a presence at Coupa Inspire in Las Vegas, different customers what testing needs are. And we've taken all of that info, as well as expert insights from the release itself to package into this webinar with our own Dimpy Sharma, who many of you know, our VP of Product Solutions, who has so much experience on the ground with these updates and understanding the strategies that make testing them the most effective that they can be. So a couple of housekeeping things. Please drop any questions you have in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. There will also be a delineated Q&A section at the very end. If you worry that you missed something, don't worry, because we're going to email you a copy of this webinar, a recording afterwards. And again, if you have any hyper-specific questions or things that would be better discussed with our sales team, please reach out to sales@opkey.com or go to www.opkey.com to explore a wide variety of resources, including blogs and downloadables about Coupa. So without much further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Dimpy.
Thank you, Isabel. And thank you so much, everyone, for making the time today. R39, one of the three major releases of Coupa. And there are multiple changes that happen in these releases, right? So that's the reason we take 2 to 3 weeks to kind of make sure that all our unit penetration, move to production, all of these tests are in place before we kind of get to and hit everything to production and all risk free. So the idea really is to kind of talk to our potential customers, our customers, current customers, and talk to all the people who are like interested in understanding about what changes do they entail and what are the best practices that we should adopt from testing perspective. I hope this is helpful. We start with talking about different modules and what are the different types of changes that actually come as part of these modules. So some of the changes regarding ERP and the procure module, details of some of these changes are that one-time password, essentially earlier, which was used without the SAN, is now be required when you're working with the SAN, and increases the security for both customers and suppliers. So that's a mandate. So you might have to kind of take into account when you have automated test scripts getting created or you're doing manual testing. So that's going to be a mandatory. There are several fields that are getting added in the requisition line forms. Obviously, it's more to kind of take care of a lot of these details that are required for the requisition. So that's required to be added for requisition line forms that supports MRO requests. Now the new notifications will be introduced. So as soon as you have the invoices created, as soon as that is done, you have new notifications that actually come out based on the feature. All the buyers can view all their order confirmation emails in one place. So all the confirmation drafts are going to get created in a folder using AI. So that's one of the automated features, and it was damn cumbersome to kind of go search those order confirmations every single time you're raising an invoice. So it's a big leap. Coming to financials, you can now link all your payment accounts to the supplier side. Earlier, it was only linked to the supplier level, but now you're able to link that to suppliers' payment accounts directly. You can also link all of your remittance email addresses. Earlier, you were not allowed to, and which was critical. So you have your communication details able to enter into these supplier details as well. And the notification directly goes out to the SPA. We have less details here. Obviously, we won't be able to go through each and every change. Some of these examples really give you a hint of what are these changes like and how these changes can affect the entire test suites, and how you can bring these changes part of your test suite and make sure your test suites are completely enhanced and they're changing continuously based on different releases. For more details, you can definitely go to our advisory. And this is the advisory that will come to all the folks who have registered for the webinar. So you can take a look at all the details. So we spoke about some of these changes, and I think that kind of gets linked here, where we talk about what are these different changes mean and how do we incorporate that as part of testing. So a couple of things that is very, very critical is how do you make these changes with the reviews that happen of what changes go out to the production. So that's preparation. So this entire best practices, whether you're using manual testing or you're using automated testing, you just want to make sure that your entire test environment and your test bed and your checklist is prepared before you even go there. So prepping the test environment is critical, making sure that you have all the requirements that come in as part of the release, you have vetted that, and you make sure that that's kind of over to the business review. That happens. You create a checklist for your MVT, which is moved to production. Once you have done that, that checklist will make sure that these are the requirements that were aligned for this particular release that actually go out. And then against those particular requirements, you have test cases and scenarios that are part of your test suite as well. Once these both of these things are done, you are able to kind of create an comprehensive test bed that can test once you're done with your release. Another key aspect is you have the availability of the people against all of these different modules, and your SME is available for test if you're doing manual testing. If you're not doing manual testing, is still there are folks, one person on the SME side to take care of any issues that come up, any configuration challenges that come up, any security challenge that comes up. Also, a person who's taking care of the integrations. So both of these SMEs need to be part of the business user availability checklist right here, and they need to be available for the prep. Then this assessment is something that we kind of take care as part of the environment checklist. We update all the security users list. This is critical because as part of our sanity, we want to make sure that all the security and accesses are validated before we actually get to the end-to-end regression test. Inbound and outbound transactions, obviously those transactions will be stopped at the time of execution, but there are different integration sets that are created for test. Obviously, this will be off from the production links, and this will be integrated to the test links where you can actually validate these integrations. So that needs to be part of the inbound and outbound tests. We just want to make sure that all the APIs that are linked to the testing environment are not talking to the production linkages, right? So one of the examples could be you're not doing the actual payment and the actual bank is getting the notification. You want to switch that off from the production, but you want to make sure that a simulation is being done with something that you can test on your testing environment. You also want to make sure that your testing checklist is again prioritized. So it's divided into different test suites. So one is where all the accesses is validated. So that's more of a security checklist. Then you have the sanity checklist, which is immediately going to take care of all the critical aspects. That also is called the risk-based test checklist. Then you have the regression test suite, and then you have the overall integration test suite that takes care of your integration tests. The risk-based test also, if can be accommodated, it's a very, very good idea. It's a significant time-saving activity when you have an automated assessment of these changes that happen as part of the impact assessment. If not, a manual comparison also would be good, just to see what are the changes that are coming across the previous release and the new one, so you can be more prepared as to which transactions and which forms are essentially affected because of this change. At Opkey, we kind of make sure that all of these changes, we really give a lot of importance to anything that helps you determine what's coming up, whether it is part of the advisories that I was talking about earlier, which you'll also get as part of the webinar recording later on, whether it is that, whether it is the impact assessment, all of these are, or whether it is the prerequisites that we kind of do before the release. It just all have to do with making sure that you know what are the changes that are coming up in these release, what are my business processes that are key business processes that are getting affected, what are the new changes that are part of the enhancements. I mean, where the automation is coming, where the Gen AI work is being done, where the new functionalities are getting updated as part of Coupa as an entire ERP, where are the new integrations coming up. You all know, right? I mean, as part of the spend management and the procurement management, that the key area that it serves, there are multiple open integrations that happen to key ERP systems, homegrown systems, and multiple systems that kind of support your operations in your organization. So we want to make sure that all of these integrations, if there are updates coming in these integrations, and we're opting for that. So all of these things are critical to kind of make sure that we are updated with this release and just not taking it as one another release. So that's one area that we really stress upon. So analyzing what are the understanding the advisory first of all, and knowing what are the changes that are coming up can help you, and having that like weeks ahead of time can help you really assess what are the functionalities that you want to opt for. Once you are freezed that, you can then take care of all the processes that are linked to that, all of the test cases that are linked to that, and that should be part of your testing bed. Then you plan for the overall security update. If there were roles that had certain accesses, now are getting validated, changed. So you want to make a comparison validation to kind of understand what are the security related, access related changes that have happened. That will help you in immediately configure if there are any related any access related changes. You are immediately updating your permission list, or you're immediately making sure that your accesses and permissions are only aligned to the roles that you have defined your users for. That's critical. And then the analysis of new features, new release notes really give us a lot of insight of what to opt for, but where how to prioritize your test. Obviously it will enhance the overall test bed, but also allows us to prioritize that, hey, these are the functionalities that are coming up, and these are pretty much aligned to 4, 5, 10 key processes of ours. So we want to make sure that these 10 processes are first verified and tested before we execute or before we manually test anything that's beyond that. And last but not the least, I said, since the integrations are critical for Coupa to kind of integrate with other systems that are part of operations, we just want to make sure that all the inbound and outbound integrations are separately part of an integration test suite, and they are validated regularly. How Opkey can help? Well, as I said, we stress a lot on making these on apprising our customers with all of these changes, and that's critical for us. So, and update advisory is something that we share with our customers that helps them assess what are the different enhancement requests that they should be opting for, what are the changes that they should be opting for in their processes, and things like that. So that is important. We also release an impact assessment report for our customers, which is more of assessing these changes and then comparing it automatically between the two releases and giving an informed transaction level details of where the changes came. Then a certification. So when we start to test, since it has all these updates and risk-based tests that get created automatically, plus we have an end-to-end automated suite that kind of is aligned with our configuration mining platform, it helps us to prepare the test data quickly. It helps us to generate the risk-based test immediately. It helps us to generate an automated impact analysis report quickly. It also helps us to validate the security and access level permissions immediately. And all of that is possible because we have a pre-built library supporting all of these tests that get created and that are part of our repository out of the box. And since we have all of that, these tests and automated suites and the change analysis, since it is automated, we are able to certify our customers in 3 days. So this is the value that we want to add, is the focus should be not on something which is recurring and then that we have to do 3 for our major releases and another 3 times for our minor releases, 6 times in a year. But we rather have a platform take care of all of these critical things, so you are like risk free on your production releases, and you can take care of all the enhancements that should be converted into processes and that should be part of the operations, and what are the AI enabled automations that are happening as part of Coupa releases and what's coming up, rather than really, or the integrations, rather than really focusing on something which is like continuous. And obviously I think for our QA teams and for our support teams and our heads of departments, it's very critical to understand what are the areas that are covered by these changes and what's the impact as a test automation platform we are making. One of the impacts that we make is we are the only test automation platform that is certified with Coupa for testing and automation. So we have all the technicalities that were required to be vetted is already there, and we are absolutely aligned with everything that Coupa needs to offer from a testing perspective. And we're here to kind of make sure that all of these areas are risk free when you go to production, and how can we make that immediate for you in terms of how can we speed up the whole thing with the solutions and the platform capabilities that we provide. And that helps us achieve 3 key aspects. A, take care of the test coverage, and we are not completely only thinking about what to accommodate on the change and what are the tests that should be part of the change and how it is going to really take care of my processes and things like that. Take care of all the efficiencies and the defects, and take care of all the different kind of data combinations that should be part of the test scripts and how that can be generated. So we we leverage process mining enabled test discovery to make sure that whatever tests and what are the configurations that have changed that are immediately part of the test scripts and the test libraries, and the data is also served automatically. Second is risk analysis. If you have these test coverage already in place and you know exactly what is the change, you can immediately or be very relaxed and comfortable about the risk that is going to cause to your production environment. If you've really tested what have validated, if you have really tested the regress system, you're very much assured that these are the only changes that are actually going to the production environment. So that's the idea. And I think with that, you can drop in all of your questions in the question box, and I'll take a couple of seconds to take you to the platform. All right, so the platform looks like this. There are a couple of things that you can do as part of the platform. There is a inbuilt test management platform with something that we call QLM, Opkey's Quality Lifecycle Management, that allows you to have your requirements, to your tests, to your milestones integrated with all in one, and all of your tests part of that end-to-end test management system all in one. So you can just take care of all of your releases, user stories, tests, and test runs and test suites in one place. A discovery platform that allows you to make these changes and assess these changes on your environment directly. So that's really critical. I'll open something which is pre-created. So what really happens as part of the test mining and process mining capability that we do, and that kind of leans towards testing and test discovery, is that we assess all these changes at that time. So if that change has happened in this particular release, you are immediately able to assess what are the test processes that I have been executing with this particular change. What are the tests that are part of my configurations immediately that my consultants are actually working on? What are the configurations that are new enabled? What are the names of these different configurations that are enabled? Based on that, what are my different tests? What are the suggestions that are part of these tests? So for example, if there are tests that are part of R39 release, those will be part of the suggested category. So you immediately have a bunch of test cases that you're actually working on, a bunch of test cases and all the unique test paths created for all the test cases that you should be working on, and then all the data combinations directly created for them. So and there are pre-built automated libraries that are connected with this. So you can directly go here, connect it with the pre-built library, automate, and it will create an automated test directly on the platform. So all of these libraries directly get connected to the libraries that are available at the backend. And then you have the test and the data set directly created. Data set directly gets mined from the configuration. So you have the data sets available for testing as well. So with this, the idea is to kind of have an end-to-end assessment of the change and end-to-end analysis of what the configurations came for this particular release and how they are converted into the test automation scripts automatically. Hope that was helpful. So yeah, I think that was a quick one for today, and happy to take if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Dimpy. We have a few questions here. This question is about risk management. How can Opkey working together with Coupa help in identifying and managing potential risks?
Opkey's impact assessment allows you to assess that risk. So what we do is we kind of compare we take a baseline of the entire platform even before we make the change. We take another snapshot after the change, and then we compare the two to give you an assessment of what are the different transactions and forms that actually got modified because of this particular change. So that's one critical aspect that we do. And because of this analysis, we are able to generate the changes directly for you, transaction by transaction. So you immediately have an understanding of what has modified, what are the different changes that have come, and then based on these changes, what are the test scripts that are connected to those changes, and then you can directly call them as risk-based test suite, and then take care of the execution.
Wonderful. Next question about training and support. What training and support does Opkey provide for users adapting to the new features in Coupa's R39 release once we've onboarded with Opkey?
Very comprehensive set of tests that come out, right? So for the entire platform enablement, obviously we have trainings, we have different courses and certifications for you all, so you can go through and learn about Opkeys as a platform and Opkey for Coupa particularly. And then for the and then you can then that's kind of supported by obviously the entire hub that we have created for our users to take care of any kind of documentation, videos, and certifications that they need, along with the detailed help link that they would take and help with the instructor led training that's kind of given to each and every customer of ours. Plus, for the releases, we support them with the advisories, we support them with educational sessions for them, and enable them in understanding what are the changes that have come up for these releases and how they can help and leverage those changes as part of the platform.
Next question says, I'm not familiar with the concept of pre-built tests. Can you explain how pre-built tests work briefly?
Sure. So pre-built tests essentially is an orchestration of reusable forms converted into automated reusable libraries. So for example, if there is a transaction which is create a requisition, if this transaction is going to come into multiple test processes, we are going to call it as a reusable test. And now there would be standard test scripts that it will be part of. So for example, creating a requisition and then generating a PO out of it, that would be a standard test library. So one the test now the automated component process will be, you log into the platform. So login, actually navigate to that particular requisitioning form, creating the requisition, create a PO, validate the entire process, and then come out of that process. So this orchestration will be a one pre-built test script. And then for every module, when you create these test scripts based on these reusable libraries, it's actually created into a pre-built set of test libraries. I hope that helps. And if you want more details, like we can set up a separate demo for you.
Absolutely. Please reach out to the team. I'll be happy to walk you through that. All right. We have one more question here coming in. So last chance for anyone else to put in their questions. The person says, I've been using no code automation as a pilot to see if it works for Coupa. Can you speak a little bit more about the transition from traditional testing to automation?
I mean, if you think traditional automated testing to Opkey, there's a significant amount of difference. One is you don't have to worry about any kind of object related changes. So it's entirely no code. It's entirely for the business folks who are actually working on tests which are manual, who are really working on the platform as an ERP, and they want to convert their tests into automated tests. So this is the major category that it's for. And then obviously it has a lot of these technical tools that you can opt for people like more who have more development and logical and other capabilities, technical capabilities, right? So the transition essentially would be that you will have all of these tests as keyword libraries, all of these actions converted into keyword libraries that you can call into your reusable tests and actually create your and work on your test scripts, right? So there will be no more worrying about the object related changes and then recording each and every test script. So you have pre-built set of libraries that you can work on. Obviously, there's a recorder, there's a set of pre-built libraries that you can work on in modifying your test scripts, but you don't have to do stuff from the scratch. Plus, you don't have to worry about a lot of these changes that takes you to that significant amount of test maintenance that you have to do later. So it just takes care of all of that as part of the platform. Plus a lot of these solutions, like I mean, whenever you have a release, you're actually creating an automated impact assessment. If it is a traditional automation tool, you're only doing like recording and playback. And I mean, these solutions and features are critical as soon as you have an update, and as soon as you have a you have a time ticking that these are the X number of days that you have to work on, and you have to make sure that these tests are part of your entire repository, and your test is validated. So in that category, these features like test discovery. Then if you have a data set that you need to fill in, you have to fill in that data set manually. You don't have a mining platform that can take care of your data set creation and what should be the relevant data set, and are you taking care of all the different combinations of data sets. So these are critical challenges that we face in traditional test automation, right? What should be my test coverage? How do I create my test sets? Do I have something to as a reference point to take care of my test sets? Are they going to get updated every single release? How am I going to update my test data sets? How am I going to take care of my object changes? So we just taken care of all of these different challenges that we saw in traditional test automation platforms.
Well said. Thank you. Again, a lot of these questions are addressed in Opkey's blog, Opkey's white paper library, and Opkey's ebook library. So please do check out our website to delve more into things we don't have time to go into in every webinar. That brings us to time. I'd like to thank Dimpy so much, as well as our team here at Opkey. Please reach out to learn more, and we look forward to seeing you guys again. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.